Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our major stories. Government agencies failed to appear before House Ad Hoc Committee probing alleged theft of $17 billion of undeclared crude oil and liquefied natural gas. Bring Back Our Girls group asks federal government to set up broad inquiry into missing persons across northern Nigeria since insurgency began. Ondo State High Court jails abductors of former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Chief Olufalaye, for life. And G7 foreign ministers seek to persuade Russia to break alliance with President Bashar al-Assad. Now, just to quickly remind you that for more on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com and youtube.com/channelsweb. You can also watch us on the go on any mobile device. Log on to m.channelstv.com or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. Having the Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have the Eyewitness feature, so you too can be part of the news. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions to share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. All right, some of those pictures have come in and we can share them with you. Let's begin with this one from Magburu in Ogun State. It shows an overloaded trailer carrying various sorts of baggage and about 5 people hanging on to items along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Our eyewitness reporter warns against such risks for those on the vehicle and other road users. Next is this image of another vehicle, an overcrowded one in Lafia, Nasarawa State. According to our eyewitness reporter, these are laborers being transported to a work site. The eyewitness reporter is concerned about the manner in which this is done, relating it to what migrants are put through in some parts of the world. And from Ilori in Kwara State comes this next image. It shows the state of a building which appears to be a residential one. Our eyewitness reporter, who claims the structure is in a barracks, is asking the authorities to improve the living standards of the people there. And our last picture for today is this one from Oyo State. It shows the Africa Heritage Research Library in Ibadan. Our eyewitness reporter, who paid a visit to the facility, says he was saddened by the neglect of this important edifice. He's urging the state government and the intellectual community to revive the library. Thanks a lot for all your pictures, and we always like you to contribute to the news right here on Channels. Let's move on, where an Ondo State High Court sitting in Akure has sentenced the 7 persons accused of abducting a former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Chief Olufalaye, to life imprisonment. Chief Olufalaye was abducted in his farm in a rural agrarian settlement near Akure, the state capital, on September the 21st, 2015, but released by his captors after spending 4 days with them. Speaking to newsmen, the Director of Public Prosecution at the Ondo State Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Adeshola Adeyemi Toki, said that the prosecution was able to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the accused committed the offence. The lead counsel to the accused, Abdul Rahman Yusuf, said his team will study the judgment to know what steps to take next.
We were able to knock out armed robbery and conspiracy, so they were left with kidnapping. And the judgment for kidnapping is life imprisonment. So they were convicted for kidnapping and thereby sentenced to life imprisonment, each of them.
Are you now going to proceed by going to the...
Yes, we will. By the time we get the judgment into our hands, we will study it, then we know the next step to take on it.
Through forensic analysis, the phone, telephone, the tracking of the telephone of the first defendants, and part of the ransom money were found in his custody inside his vehicle at Mina, where he was tracked to. And also, some of them made confessional statements, and there were other evidence that corroborated their confessional statements.
In other legal matters, an application challenging the jurisdiction of Justice Hakeem Oshodi to hear the case of an alleged bribery against a suspended judge of the Federal High Court, Justice Rita Ofili Ajumogobia, and the Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Godwin Obla, stalled proceedings today at the Lagos High Court sitting in Ikeja. When the case was called, a new counsel, Mr. Robert Clark, announced appearance for Justice Ofili Ajumogobia. He led another senior advocate, Wale Akoni, who had been handling the matter from the beginning. In the application, Mr. Clark contended, among other things, that Justice Ajumogobia is only subject to the discipline of the National Judicial Council and no other court. The judge noted that though the application was not ripe for hearing, as the prosecution was yet to reply, he would have to adjourn to hear it. The judge also rejected a move by Mr. Clark to temporarily withdraw the application so that an earlier application seeking permission for Mrs. Ajumogobia to travel abroad for medical treatment could be heard. Justice Oshodi then fixed hearing of the application for April the 28th. Away from legal matters, two suspects accused of conspiring and killing the delivery agent of an online marketing company in Port Harcourt were today brought before a magistrate court in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, by the police. They were said to have committed the act on March the 25th, 2017, after robbing the man of his mobile phones and later dumping his body in a septic tank. Our correspondent Emmanuel Ere reports.
This suspect tries to exonerate himself from the incident which occurred in Location Road access of Port Harcourt, River State.
On my way to this access, I saw him at that extreme. He was packaging something, like I think someone was packing in the waste bin, the black waste bin. So he said, "You go inside, go inside, go chill out inside." He's coming to start to walk. This
All right, now we do apologize for that slight problem we had there, but let's cross over to Abuja now. Here's Linda Akigbe. Linda.
Hello, Ijoma. The Minister of State for Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, has been explaining reports of vibrations experienced at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. The minister, who flew in from Abuja following reports of a tremor, explains that there is no structural issue with the airport and the vibrations experienced was as a result of the unlatched doors of the area housing coolers of the air conditioning system. He says the structural integrity of the airport is intact. The incident occurred in a room directly under the office of Royal Air Maroc, leading to the wrong assumption that something was wrong. Mr. Sirika was responding to reports in some sections of the media that the airport is failing and there was an earthquake. The minister assured passengers that everything is under control. In his words, and I quote, "Once our men were alerted, they went promptly, identified the problem, which was the door, and latched it properly. And since then, everything has been quiet, so it's not true. We're working on those chillers, and in no distant time, the airport will be quite chilled and comfortable for our passengers," end of quote. Built in 1978, the 6-story MMIA terminal is Nigeria's busiest airport. The federal government has denied reports that it monitors telephone calls and social media posts of Nigerians in a bid to stifle the freedom of speech of citizens. The Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, in a press statement today, explains that the stories of alleged government monitoring and recording of phone calls and social media posts is untrue. He adds that the intention of those behind the false news is to give the impression that the federal government is hostile. The minister says, and I quote, "There is no regulation, old or new, from the Ministry of Interior or any federal government agency requiring the recording of all calls or the monitoring of social media platforms like WhatsApp, Twitter or Facebook," end of quote. The government is asking Nigerians to disregard such news. In Katsina State, Governor Bello Masari has estimated that his administration needs about 45 billion naira to reposition the education sector in the state. He says 13,000 classrooms need to be constructed, while at least 15,000 teachers need to be employed. Governor Masari highlighted the requirements when he received a team from the United Nations Children Emergency Fund, UNICEF. He explained that careful planning and judicious application of resources are necessary to achieve this vision. Officials of the United Nations Children Emergency Fund and gender activists drawn from 9 states in northern Nigeria, including Bauchi, Niger, Kebbi, Adamawa, Borno, as well as Yobe, Zamfara, Sokoto and Katsina states. The UNICEF officials and activists are in Katsina to continue their push for increased girl-child education in northern Nigeria. The team is asking the Katsina state government to invest in free education and encourage education up to secondary schools in the state.
Recent statistics show that the percentage of out-of-school children in Katsina is 65%. And in the latest survey that was done in 3 LGAs of Safana, Kurfi and Mani, number of out-of-school children in these 3 LGAs was 152,923. In the whole state on the primary school level, female net attendance rate is 43.8%. So this means of the girls that are supposed to be going to school at the right age, only 43.8% of them are going to the formal primary school. Katsina State needs to provide sufficient competent teachers to meet the needs of the expanding education system.
According to UNICEF, 620,000 children are out of school in Katsina State, and 55% of them are girls.
You need to engage more.
The state governor, Alhaji Bello Masari, observes that low school enrollment is a major concern for his administration.
If culture is blended into ignorance and illiteracy, the outcome can be disastrous. It means misinterpretation of the religion. The culture and tradition here for a very, very long time has been that the girl child is for the woman, while the boys are for the men. I think UNICEF, you need to engage more in this part of the country, engage more religious leaders.
Last year, the Katsina state government and UNICEF signed a 1.3 billion naira memorandum of understanding for partnership in critical areas of the state, and girl-child education is one of them. When the news at 10 returns, Dangote Group President and CEO Aliko Dangote endorses agro-based production as game changer for Nigeria instead of petrol refining. That's some business news. Join us again.